Hello, okay. I'm going to try to explain to you, if you believe in science, how you can use it to have an enlightenment experience. I think, at least for me, it worked, and I'm a pretty scientific oriented person. I studied mechanical engineering, I'm into physics, I'm into mathematics. I love this stuff, and I think it is a great tool if you use it right to gain some serious insight for enlightenment, for the enlightenment path. And I think this is going to be a pretty complex video for me, but I try to explain to you how I proceeded to use the new scientific data that's out there to have a real direct enlightenment experience. So I will just start out with explaining the current accepted physical model of our world. I think to start with the atom is pretty easy because everyone can relate to it. So we think of atom as a particle, but this particle is dividable. There are subparticles to it. And with my idea, I want to get down to the non-dividable particles. For example, atoms have a core. The core is made up of protons and neutrons. They are not considered to be a non-dividable particle. They can themselves be divided again. Around the core, there's, of course, and probably everyone knows, the electrons. And electrons, that's interesting, they are already not dividable anymore, to the best of our knowledge. They are elementary particles. An electron, it is considered to have mass, but we will continue with the newest model and will show that even this does not have mass. So the proton, if we look at a proton, first let's look at the size of the atom itself again. If you have the volume of one atom and you take this and you want to see how much of it is actually matter, energy, for this we would call the core physical hard matter. So, and this is the matter is concentrated in, or other way around, the empty space of an atom is 99 point, then I think 11 or 12 9 come, and then 1 3. So basically the core of the atom is very, very tiny. All the mass is basically concentrated in one very tiny spot. Electrons do have mass, but very little. And so this is the first thing that is very fascinating to me, I guess. Not only to me, to everyone. I think what we consider solid atoms are actually almost empty, nearly empty, nothing in there. And it goes even further because the neutrons and the protons can be divided again into quarks. There are different kinds of quarks, and they are considered elementary particles in this theory. And the newest data shows that all these elementary particles derive their mass from their interaction with the Higgs field. And that's when it gets really interesting. There's a good analogy to describe the Higgs field, and you can think of it as a sea of molasses, a thick thick liquid. And when there is no Higgs field, there could be particles flying through empty space, and they would not have any mass, because without this thick fluid there would be no energy required to move them, if we think of them having no mass, because in this model the masses they receive only from this Higgs field. So without the Higgs field, no mass, you need no energy to move the parts, to accelerate them. But in this thick liquid. You would need energy to drag them through. So only through the interaction with the Higgs field they get their mass, which means it is just an information. It is just the interaction between empty nothingness, space, the Higgs field, and a particle. And this is so fascinating because the next thing you can do to use this information of that also the physics say, everything we perceive is basically nothingness. There is no physical reality. It's just something, we don't know what it is, but it's interacting with itself and creating what we perceive as hard physical objects. Now comes the thing that kind of accelerated the Enlightenment experience for me. It is that when you take, for example, just your finger and you try to push them through each other, of course it's not possible. But why? It should be possible. It's just emptiness. So in this case, we just perceive nothingness interacting with each other. So this information, they are like magnets that opposite or the same magnet, if you want to push them together, there's a resistance. And this is what happens on a very tiny scale, also with mass. You cannot push something through something else. And then this is the first experience of if you think about this whole model, and I suggest you read a lot more about it to really drive home this message. I mean, it's hard to explain for me right now. I have difficulties, and but if you keep this in mind, this is basically nothingness. We are all nothingness, and it's still interacting with each other. And you do several experiments, and you have this whole model in mind, then interesting things start to happen. Because after I read a lot about this, and then directly afterwards I started meditating. And with this in mind that I had, that we are all basically nothingness, I experienced it directly. It was an interesting experience because the feeling of myself just got suddenly, after around 20 minutes, very tiny, and I was feeling I was this infinitely small something, and perceiving everything, my whole experience, as infinitely huge, vast. But my ego was just reduced to to the middle of nothingness basically, and it was amazing. It was around 1 week ago, and I'm still feeling the effects of it. And I was able to stay in this state for maybe half an hour or something. I meditated for 1 hour total. And yeah, if you read about this matter and really understand science, and you're already a scientifically orientated person, then it's I think easy for you to use this knowledge because you can relate to it. If you relate to this, it's maybe easier than all other teachings that try to describe nothingness, because if you already believe in all this scientific work, how it comes to conclusions and how it gets to results, then this will greatly enhance your chance of having enlightenment experiences. I think I have read and thought about many more things during my experiment with this, but I basically cannot explain them now. But try this out. Read up on the newest science or physical science, metaphysical science, and what's already been proven with the Higgs element exists, and this greatly leading scientists to believe in the Higgs field as well. And if you read up on this, for me it's fascinating stuff, and if you like this stuff as well, I just suggest you read everything about it. And I mean, it's free on the internet mostly. Wikipedia articles will already do the trick, I guess. And yeah, start meditating afterwards. If you read for like 1 or 2 hours of new stuff, start wherever you have to start to understand all this. I mean, I'm not really understanding the deep mathematics behind it, but from what I know, universities are pretty good at delivering proven mathematical models that will not lead to any beliefs that are not at least traceable back to reality. And yeah, very interesting stuff. Try this out if you like, and please, if you do, let me know if it works for you or what you experience. It would be very interesting for me. Okay, hope this video was helpful. See you soon. Goodbye.